People joke about Hearthstone being no skill all the time, but is there some truth behind that statement? Well, I'm going to answer that and every other hot take or juicy question you have on this first episode of the Hearthstone Ask Me Anything. Hey, my name is Chow Pow, and let's see if Hearthstone is no skill or you're just mad coping about how bad you are. This first question is from Christian with a G for the H for some reason. Sorry, I'm roasting your name, Christian. They say, "Hola, hello from Indonesia, and I am new to this game. What do you think, is Hearthstone relying on skill or luck?" Hello to Indonesia, I guess. Is Hearthstone luck or skill? Well, first we got to talk about what is skill. You know, I played some fighting games in my past, and all of that's about tech skill, your input, and ability to read what your opponent's doing. Played a lot of shooters too. In that case, it's your aiming and your game sense and positioning. I don't play too many other card games, but what I know is a lot of time is actually spent on building the physical deck instead of actually doing all of the gameplay part. This is most evident in my Yu-Gi-Oh phase in high school, where I felt like I just needed to pull off combos to win, but I also don't know what a pendulum summon is, so yeah. So is deck building skillful in Hearthstone? But there are some areas in high-level gameplay where changing out specific cards can win or lose you the game. I think one of the most famous examples is Disguised Toast using Sacrificial Pact against other Warlock decks. If you don't know what Sacrificial Pact is, well, it's an absolutely terrible card. You restore 5 health by destroying one of your minions. Come on, no one's using that. But in the olden days, when you played Lord Jaraxxus, you would actually be considered a demon, making it so whenever you played Sacrificial Pact on your opponent's Jaraxxus, you would just instantly win the game and destroy the hero. So in this part of the game, I can see how this would be a very skillful part of the game. You have to build your deck around some certain counters, and you have to make sure it's not completely bricked against other decks that aren't meant for the specific counter. But this assumes that you're playing in tournament format. You are most likely not playing in tournament format. So unless you're that very top percent of players, or maybe you did this in ladder and then in that case you're insane because it's so inconsistent in ladder, then it's probably a non-factor to you. Knowing what your opponent has is very important in winning some matches. For example, you count the amount of board removals a person has, you count the amount of minions a person's played. It might seem impossible, but I did a video a long time ago detailing how this is possible, but it basically boils down to looking very hard. Also, you need some good card knowledge about the different types of cards people use, but that's not as big of a skill ceiling. And this was totally viable in the past. People could count how many brawls and executes a warrior had, or anything else like that. But I think card generation is just so random these days that I don't think it matters anymore. It makes sense if your opponent says draw a spell and you know what spells they're running. Yeah, okay, you gotta track that. That makes sense. But for example, you play Mining Mage or any sort of these spell generation mages, you cannot track a single thing. So in this and deck building, I would definitely say the skill drops a bit, but I wouldn't say it's not there completely. If you're really good at the game, you just know what your opponent has. I'm sure if I played against an actual professional player, I would get absolutely walloped. And of course, you can't forget the most skillful play, top decking. So yes, I still think there is skill in this game involving matchups, reading cards, and knowing your opponent's cards, but I think this has also lessened as the game progressed in terms of power creep and card generation. Unlike the past, where it was a lot of small decisions compounding into really big punishes later in the game, such as not removing a minion and then it just bites you for however many damage. Now it's more about the big picture. Can you pull off your combo? Can you draw into your combo? And not about whether you traded into one minion. Ramon Molina says, "Just found your video for beginners a few years ago. I'm back from Hearthstone after about 6 years of not playing. How can I prioritize one optimal deck as free to play? I'm not fondly of giving Blizzard money right now." I've done both. I've done free to play stuff, I've done paid stuff in 2017. Oh my gosh, I'm ancient. And I found the best way to prioritize one optimal deck to free to play is either one, choose a really low cost deck. So that's your aggro decks most of the time. And that'll help you get a good deck and be able to win with that good deck, and then you can space out to anything else you want to try. But if you want to prioritize one high cost deck, then I'd recommend first crafting all your neutral or generally good cards. So example, your Titans, your Astler, your neutral cards, basically any card that can be applicable to any other deck. So for example, this new Zilliax Deluxe 3000 can be generally good for a lot of decks. So you might want to craft it as one of those neutral cards, but you can probably substitute it with a bunch of worse worse versions of a different card for a lot less dust. Unless the card is absolutely vital in making you win, and you can check that out using HS replay sometimes, or you can just feel it out. That's usually what I do when I take out win conditions. I'm more of a fan of not crafting every card in a high cost deck because for me, I don't really care about winning with one deck. I rather just play a variety of decks. But if you want to craft one really good deck, try not to choose the control decks. They will cost you so much. Just balance the 2 meters of how much do I want to play this deck with this card versus how much do I want to play other decks. And with that, you should be good to go. Danian Drewin with the Kermit the Frog profile picture says, what do you think about these crazy power creep compared to 10 years ago or your first time playing Hearthstone, and what expansion? So I first started playing Hearthstone in the One Night in Karazhan expansion. Well, technically it was the Whispers of the Old God expansion, but it was at the later half of it, so it doesn't really count for me. Nowadays, it just feels like every card just happens to remove minions, summon new minions, draw you cards, do your laundry, take out the loan, give birth to your newborn. Just get to your win condition and then you win. There's no need to think about anything in between. For example, I remember the time when you played Tunnel Trog in a Totem Golem or Jade Claws, and that was considered one of the best things that could possibly happen to you. Now this opening probably easily gets removed on turn 2 by every class. I don't really care if the stats of minions go up and stuff like that. But what I do care about is if I'm losing by turn 4 or 5 because Shaman has a bunch of spell damage for some reason. I'm not a game designer, I'm just someone who makes stupid videos. But I also like looking at trends. And the trends is that everyone really doesn't like this meta because of how stupidly powerful the combos are. So I'm not gonna give a hot take here. I do not think the power creep has been really good for the game. But I also understand that if we were to go back on the power creep and we were to make it so the cards do less things or the cards aren't as good, the community will just say, wow, this expansion sucks! If Blizzard were to ever do that, and I'm pretty sure they did during the whole Descent of Dragons era, then you have to make a promise to not complain. Rawl says, what is the best card in Hearthstone's history? I think best card's a relative thing. Different cards are broken in different eras for different reasons. To me, the best cards are the cards that single-handedly have made the biggest impact on winning or losing a game if you play them or if you don't play them. And they have to be lasting for a long time. So these cards include The Undertaker, which was probably Hearthstone's first broken card. And just because we're on this little theme of old good cards, I think Knife Juggler is super slept on. It's not as good as Undertaker for sure, but you know, it's still good. I think some of the old gods are absolutely insane. You have Yogg Saron, the original one. Play this in any spell deck and you just win the game because of how cool you are because you played Yogg Saron. Cthulhu's always fun. They had an entire archetype made after him, but I'm pretty sure you can make an entire archetype after them if the developers want you to make an entire archetype after him. N'Zoth was also probably really good as one of your swing turns, but these cards were meant to be really good in the time they were made. Except for Yashiraj, you had one combo. The Ancient One! That combo, have you heard of that? Yeah, okay, I wish I had the ancient one so I could do it. The original Ziliax, I think, was insanely good. Like, you play this card in most of your decks, that's how good it is. But was it a game-breaking card? No, it was just a really good card that could be used in a lot of different circumstances, making it, sure, one of the best cards, but also one of the most average cards. And then there's this time in between this expansion and pretty much modern day Hearthstone where all the cards are actually pretty good. I mean, you can think of Zephyrus. He was a pretty good card in a lot of Highlander decks. Not good enough for me to craft him apparently, but he was pretty good. And I guess if we were to have one specific card that's been really good for the consistent 2-year span it was in, I'd say Astler. Just an insanely good value card, made so many things possible. But again, I made a video on this and I will stand by it. I still think Patches is the best card of all time. Not only did they nerf it so the text got worse, they nerfed it so his voice line got worse. They had to nerf his voice. That is insane. Having an extra 1/1 on the board that can attack the face the turn it's played removes a single card from your deck, which makes your deck better, or it's just really easy to trade with and it's just an extra 2 damage basically. That is insanely good as a card. Random person on the internet says, is your waifu still Sucrose? Also, do you plan to host another game show where you cloned yourself? I mean, with real people. Okay, well, I told you I'd answer almost anything, so we're gonna answer the second half first. The video he's talking about is I cloned myself to see if I know Hearthstone. It's a Hearthstone game show, that's what it is. I just decided that it'd be funny to do it. And what is that prize we're competing for today? A trip to France. It's too good to be true. I love this video. I really might make it again, but it was more of a passion project. It wasn't something I was really going to do a long term. Unless I did really well, then I might have done it long term. I was thinking about making one of these with some subscribers or other Hearthstone YouTubers, but I don't think I will. Unless someone really wants me to do it. Okay, and for the second part of your question about the waifus, let me first say that everyone in this video that I'm about to mention is over the age of 18. In fact, according to this Reddit post, You see Sucrose over here? She might be less than 100, which I guess includes the ages of a minor. Son of a... Sucrose is a running meme on my channel. It all started because I needed jokes about women, and from there it just kind of stuck. Oh, there she is! I feel like sometimes I'm on alcohol even though I'm not. Scotland doesn't exist! Any girl on the street and they immediately flood the block. So amazing. You so fucking precious when you smile. When I was making those videos, Sucrose was my favorite, I guess. Waifu, as they say. Oh my gosh, it makes me cringe just saying it. If I guess I had to say I had a waifu, I would rather slice my tongue out than admit I have one. But if I were to say I have one, it'd be her. She's got that little eccentric vibe going. Apparently she collects bones. Might be a serial killer, but I can fix her. If I had to choose another person, it would be Farina, because she's just how I like my women. I'm traumatized. Or if I had to choose one other person, it would be Asta. Just because she's such a dork. And she's super rich. Like, I mean loaded. If I'm not dating her for her, I'm dating her for her money. This one is from Discord, and so was the last one, I forgot. So make sure you join the Discord in the link below. If CEO of Big Ward Industrial says, I haven't played since Titans came out. Is it a good time to come back? Okay, well, apparently the meta right now is hot garbage. I don't know, I've been too busy being Batman, so I don't really know. But here's some life lessons with Chow Pow. If you're thinking about doing something, the best time to do it is now. And that's how I got into making videos. Just give it a shot and see where it takes you. It's an entertainment thing at the end of the day. If it twiddles your thumbs for the next few hours and you decide you don't like it, you're entertained for that hour and a bit. It's okay. Plus, there's an event going on right now, so go do it. Byron of the FE says, when is the best time to disenchant cards, especially non-nerfed ones? The best time to disenchant varies. If you know you're not going to use it, you can just disenchant it. And if you're like me, you keep all your cards because you might use them one day. That's how hoarders think, people. But that's just the overview of it. There is more specific things you can do to get the best value out of disenchanting your card. You can watch these strategies in this video right here, where I give a detailed explanation about your card disenchanting strategy. It can save you thousands and thousands of dust if you haven't been considering these. So you want to watch this. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you around.